Welcome into this Thursday morning edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Jeffrey Wright will be joining us here in a few minutes. We'll just take a quick little pause when we go to him, but nonetheless, he will be here in a second on a podcast brought to you every Sunday by the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford. Lunch specials, ribs, daiquiris. The ribs, call ahead, and we'll be waiting on you. Wrapped up and ready to go, wet or dry. A lot of different daiquiri flavors. As cheap as $3.99, as big as 44 ounces if you so wish. And great gas prices, courtesy of the Speed Pass Plus app, the mobile rewards program, and more. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. And the rest is really up to you. You can shop it around, or you can do what I've done, what I suggest that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. You will love the product. You will love the service after the sale. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He'll prove that to you when you make the call, 662-257-1900. Jeffrey Wright will join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Be a great place this weekend to hang out if you're coming into Oxford, if you're just around. Watch some college baseball on the big screens. You can watch college basketball as well. Ole Miss and Vanderbilt at home, noon on Saturday. Be a great place to go afterwards, before you head out of town, whatever the case may be. Actually, you could go to the basketball game, come back, and have a couple of drinks and watch Ole Miss, East Carolina, I think, baseball on Saturday afternoon. So all of that at Rafters. And then, of course, Sunday brunch begins at 10:45, featuring homemade biscuits and chicken and waffles, live bluegrass music, mimosas, the famous $5 Bloody Marys, and more there at Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford.
I got into the studio for about 90 seconds before Neal started talking about Love Is Blind. It took one day for him to give it a look.
Well, I told you.
Yeah, go ahead and explain while I'm getting Jeffrey on the horn.
So I love The Office. This is the way I'm going to do this. I love The Office. I've been trying to think, what is it that this is reminding me of? And I've probably watched The Office back and forth maybe 4 times. There's one episode of The Office, though, that is cringy for me. It's the Scott's Tots one.
It's bad.
Spoiler alert. And at this point, that's on you. Michael Scott.
Okay.
No,
go ahead.
Michael Scott's the Dunder Mifflin guy, and he 10 years earlier or 6 years earlier or whatever had promised to pay for all these college educations, and then the time comes that the tots are now high school graduates, and he doesn't have any of the money saved or whatever to send any of them to college. And it's a cringeworthy episode. And I always tell my daughter Campbell, who's a huge Office junkie as well, that I can't watch that one. I'll catch myself hitting fast forward or just skipping it entirely. And I watched episode 1, season 1 of Love Is Blind. I'm almost finished with it, and it's that same thing. I'm cringing the entire show. Just, and I know people say, "Well, then stop watching it," but everyone's telling me, "You got to watch this. You got to watch."
Jeffrey, is Aaliyah or yourself on the Love Is Blind train?
Hear the words, "Guy just proposed after 5 days." Spoiler alert. I'm crying, though. This is so crazy.
I told Neal a minute ago, we really needed more Nick Lachey. Newlyweds wasn't enough a decade and a half ago. We needed more Nick Lachey.
God's watching. Did you know he was still a thing?
No.
I mean, his name has not entered my conscience in years.
When the show starts and there's Nick Lachey, I'm like, wait, I know who that is. And he goes, I'm Nick Lachey.
But isn't that perfect for this show? Isn't it really perfect? When the producers sat down and said, "Hey, who could we get?"
Could not agree with you more. That feels what Nick Lachey should be doing right now.
Oh, it was the first thought that I had was, this makes perfect sense. And he's not a big part of the show. I mean, he just he does the Chris Harrison thing.
Yeah, I kind of give Jessica Simpson credit. It does seem that, she kind of wanted out I don't think Nick Lachey wanted out of the spotlight, of the limelight. I think we just decided we wanted Nick Lachey out of the spotlight, out of the limelight, and this is perfect. Like, this is a Netflix dating show.
You think in his mind he thinks he can turn this into being the next Chris Harrison?
No, I think he thinks it's a paycheck.
Okay, we're just making money right now.
Nick Lachey has always struck me as someone who is not. He is. I think he does seem somewhat realistic.
Okay.
I mean, I think he rode the 90. Like, I don't think Nick Lachey ever believed that 98 Degrees was in sync. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of success and whatnot. I do think Nick Lachey would still enjoy. I mean, that's the thing about the limelight and the spotlight is it pays well. So I'm not holding it against him for wanting.
He knew his place even being married to Jessica Simpson.
Yeah,
correct.
He knew he was Jessica Simpson's husband.
Yeah,
not that was
Yeah.
He was Mr. Simpson. You know what's funny is I was listening to an interview with Chris Harrison the other day, and he was saying when he first started The Bachelor, he thought it was.
Hold on, let me stop right there. Chase, how many times you ever thought when you saw Chris Harrison, I need to hear that guy's thought?
Neil has mentioned his interview twice in 2 days now.
It was actually really interesting. Look, man, I freely admit I have no life and I'm boring. So that's the precursor to anything that I say. He was talking about how he thought that was just a paycheck when they first started it, and then was it Ryan and Trista or whatever?
The first Bachelorette that actually stayed together. Yeah.
When they
are the most successful.
Yes.
What he was saying is they were filming somebody's deal and they had to take a break to go to her wedding, and they had all the cameras and stuff set up. And he said when they realized how many people were trying to sneak into the wedding and they had all these helicopters hovering above and stuff, he goes, "Oh wow, this is big. I'm going to be doing this for a long time." Which is a reflection on society.
It's sort of interesting that he's kept at it this long.
He's making a fortune.
It's a grueling schedule that's ridiculous, and he just keeps doing it.
So it's a grueling schedule. It's a grueling schedule from a day perspective, but he goes and does his little part during the day, and then the guy just goes and plays golf. I think I could do that.
Okay, that's fair.
How that guy thinks.
Yeah, he was doing news like in Oklahoma City.
I know how this is not ever necessarily, not ever, but this is usually not very accurate. Celebrity Net Worth lists Harrison's annual salary at $8 million.
Yeah, he's making a ton of money.
I could buy that.
Yeah, that number does not throw me off at all.
It's one of the few TV shows that just hangs around.
What does he do? So correct me if I'm wrong, there's 2 seasons each year, correct?
Yeah, there's 2 seasons each year, and then they have the Bachelor in Paradise season, so there's 3.
Does he host that?
I've never watched it, but I assume he's part of it.
He used to host Bachelor Pad for sure, right?
Which is Bachelor in Paradise, but they had to rename it because Bachelor Pad. So Bachelor Pad, that house is actually in Malibu,
Yeah.
and that was like the girls always wanted to go there, like sneak in there. But it got very risque because essentially all that is just an organized orgy that's televised, and they came under fire and they had to cancel it. And their solution, because it was obviously successful, was, yes, we did the right thing. We took a moral stance. We canceled Bachelor Pad, but coming this fall to ABC, Bachelor in Paradise. It's a completely different thing.
Just a new name.
It's good branding.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right.
I gotta tell you, Aaliyah was saying there's like a senior Bachelor spinoff.
We're worried about
No,
this.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently that's a thing.
All right, so Neil, I do again. This is not a defense of me, y'all. I've been very clear on my stance on The Bachelor. You guys know this is not because I think of myself as being above this or that it hurts my masculinity or macho-ness. I just hate the show. I hate it for personal reasons. With that being said, our compromise, because Aaliyah loves the show. As anyone that knows who Aaliyah is and listens to this show, she loves it. So the compromise has been, I do not have to watch The Bachelor, but I do have to listen to her takes on The Bachelor, which
That's fair.
I deem to be fair.
That's fair.
That's fair.
It also, in fairness, it also kind of gives me I don't have to watch The Bachelor, but if I hear it's being discussed, I do know what's going on to an extent. So that can be helpful, especially on this program.
Talking about go ahead, finish.
So the reason why I bring this up is she was breaking down this season for me during the first or second week, and she starts discussing Madison to me. And the first thought in my mind when she's saying, she's all this, and they were pretty convinced, she was pretty convinced that she was a virgin. I don't remember when she actually revealed that. My first thought in my head is, oh, this is her out. This is her, I can go be America's sweetheart. I can be the darling. And by all accounts, this guy seems kind of just lame.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I've had meaningful debates about this over the last few days with multiple people that I know. I'm now, I don't know where I'm kind of like Peter on Peter. I'm kind of indecisive. He was pretty upfront about who he was and what he was. And it does make you wonder why, other than obviously the fame and the notoriety and the television exposure, why she decided to go so far into this, knowing that there was a monumental relationship obstacle looming in front of them.
Okay, so to me, there's two basic paths. Number one, it's a competition. And she seems to come from an athletic family, and she was an athlete herself. So I can understand getting wrapped up in the competition aspect of it.
Yeah.
The other flip side of it is it's a paycheck, and it is a path to fame and fortune, because Instagram has completely changed what going on The Bachelor is for these girls. Now, what I think has made it interesting, like, I've always thought that, okay, she can use her, you can do on that show that's actually going to hurt your Q rating, one way or the other. In that one girl that's like the absolute, just walks around with a mattress strapped on her back from like 5 years ago. I mean, she still is like getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to promote stuff on Instagram. So I'm not really sure there's anything you can do, but she had a way to keep her reputation, get the fame and fortune, and basically she can, kind of parlay that into becoming the Bachelorette. Now, what I think is fascinating, this is what I don't think actually was planned, because she has stood her ground. She can be the female Tim Tebow in terms of speaking fees and this is a path from, because for the family value circuit, if you will.
That's interesting.
So our bet is, I have bet Aaliyah, because I also understand how television works. Like, that's what I was telling Aaliyah. You understand The Bachelor. I understand how television works. She's going to be the next Bachelorette.
Okay, I'm going to take that bet with you. I'll take that bet. After listening to Chris Harrison, I don't think she will be. He spoke as negatively about her as I've heard him speak of a contestant on a show in a long time. He's really bothered by her.
Could this also be, Chris Harrison is in the butts and seats.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be interesting.
But you would have to make that storyline the entire season.
The whole season has to be all about her purity and blah blah blah. And
I mean, didn't they do this with a dude?
They did, and it didn't go over super great.
Well, and then was it Emily Maynard? Who was the girl that her husband was like an or whatever, fiance? Or
that's right. I don't know why in the heck I know that, but yes.
Well, I have no idea why I know it either.
Yeah.
I What was that? I mean, obviously she wasn't a virgin. I think at that point she was a mother, but I think that was the deal. Like she wasn't going to sleep with anyone on the show.
Yeah, I don't recall. I just remember the mother, and like I think she
I remember her
let the bachelor meet her child, and
Yeah.
that was part of that. But we mentioned Harrison thinking it was a paycheck to start with. Talk about a guy hitting the gold mine. So before The Bachelor, he was a sports reporter in Oklahoma City for a CBS affiliate.
Before the Thunder was there. I mean,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then he worked for a horse racing channel, TVG Network, and then he was the host of Designers Challenge on HGTV.
A horse racing channel? The horse racing channel. Tell you what, if your local financial planner's got horse racing and it's a random Saturday and there's not a whole lot going on, you flip over TVG and you see that it's live.
I love the people. And I mean this kindly to people, but the people who are like, what does this have to do with sports? What in the world are we supposed to talk about today? I mean, Ole Miss plays Vanderbilt on Saturday at noon. The two teams have combined for like a win. And then there's a college baseball series in East Carolina this weekend. We just talked to the East Carolina coach yesterday. There's just not a hell of a lot more we can say about it till it gets played.
Well, Chase, how'd you book Cliff Godwin?
I've known him a day or two. I don't know. I just took a flyer.
No, Neil, I've got one for you. Here's a topic for you because you'll have personal experience and you'll have an opinion on this.
Uh-huh.
I think the city of Houston is now the official capital of Butthurt Nation in the United States of America for sports fans.
No doubt. No doubt.
Hold on. Okay.
No doubt.
All right. So, they are delusional about this Astros thing. So you factor that in, and then when your team is the Texans, year in, year out, they've always they talk themselves in their mind. This time it's different. And it never is. So they're a little feisty on that. But the Rockets, I made a simple statement last night, Neil.
I
watched, unlike most people that consume the NBA product, I don't just watch 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
I watch the league and then I watch the Grizzlies. I'm not saying I watch, 40 games of each team, but I try to watch each team that, is probably going to be a playoff team or a team that is certainly going to be of interest. I try to watch them at least once or twice a week.
Grizzlies were in Houston last night.
For the record, I've seen the Rockets in person this year.
Yeah.
I know they lead the league in fewest makes on assists. I would also venture to guess they're the highest rate isolation team in the NBA. Or close to it. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, because they have 2 of the most ball dominant players in the league, and then they added another one in Covington. So that's they, to their credit, they've gone all in on this style. Not to derail you at all, I was listening to the Low Post with Zach Lowe yesterday. He had Jared Dudley of the Lakers on. Jared Dudley's played all over the league, is going to be a coach or a GM one day. And Dudley was saying that this is the Rockets around the league. Big men want to see the Rockets go down because they're so afraid that if the Rockets win, that it will fundamentally change the future of the NBA.
And I will expand on that point. I've heard multiple reports from people that I trust. The GMs, the roster managers of the league are watching the Rockets closely.
Yes.
Because there's thought that Daryl Morey is always one step ahead, and they are watching to see if he's found something. So, with that being said, I made this statement last night, and this was not just some hot take because I cover the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies were getting smoked. For the record, I had -10, and that was the easiest freaking win of my life. So this has nothing to do with it. The Houston Rockets are a good basketball team. I think of them as probably one of the 5 to 8 best teams in the league. I find them unwatchable in the category of good teams. They do not move the ball. Like the teams, the most enjoyable watches, if you don't have an interest, like if you're just watching basketball that night, the most enjoyable teams, at least for me personally, to watch are teams that have great ball movement and they're able to get, good looks, get shots, get buckets from the way they move the ball. That is what I view as an enjoyable watch if I don't care about who's playing. That's not the Rockets. I do not understand how that was some type of scorching take.
How did you get in all their mentions, or how'd they see you? Because I highly doubt you have that many Rockets fans on Twitter, do you?
NBA Twitter, baby.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there might be no sport that is more watch the game while you tweet than NBA.
I don't know.
Yeah,
College
I mean,
football.
especially
It's similar to college football, but NBA is that each of those teams. There's just NBA Twitter is just bizarre. I don't do it, but you see it.
so like Rocket fans will just search Rockets on Twitter
Okay.
and they'll just look for it.
I got you. Okay.
And here's the other thing that I realized last night. I really like the NBA product. And this is not me making a persuasive speech for the NBA. So I think my views on football are well known out there and how much I enjoy it. I like the NBA product. With that being said, NBA Twitter is the most annoying non-political thing on the internet. And here's what I realized last night. I can never pinpoint what it is about NBA Twitter that really just annoyed me. And last night it clicked. NBA Twitter is this giant collection of dogmatic cultists. And there's one talking point, and if you don't no one thinks critically on NBA Twitter. It's this league, amazing, greatest league ever. It's like everything is just a cheerleading thing. And if you have anything if you think about anything critically, and if you have any point that goes against what is the accepted community thought, go kill yourself.
Yeah, I don't do NBA Twitter, so I don't know. I just, believe it or not, it's the one sport that I watch the games. I don't tweet about it. I don't watch other people's tweets about it. Like right now, I like watching Boston right now because Jason Tatum's playing at elite superstar level, and I wonder whether he's breaking out. I like watching the Mavericks because, hey, here's this little NBA rumor that's out there.
I'm listening.
All the teams are clearing their decks for 2021, that offseason.
Yes.
The NBA rumor that's out there is the guy that Giannis Antetokounmpo is most intrigued about playing with is Luka Doncic.
Euros got to stick together, baby.
And Luka Doncic is under contract. Giannis Antetokounmpo could go to Dallas, where they've never landed a big free agent. And if you put he and Luka together, it's over.
It's
over. Now, Milwaukee's 50-8, and they're really, really good. You wonder if Giannis is sort of where Kevin Durant was a few years ago with the Thunder, where the Thunder were this really good team, that's undeniable, but they couldn't get over the hump. They made the finals once, lost. Couldn't get past Golden State, couldn't get past San Antonio. He ultimately got disgruntled and left. Does Milwaukee have to win a title for Giannis to go, yep, I'm in. I'm staying here. I'm going to stay here forever? Or is the lure of whether it's Miami or Los Angeles or playing with Luka or whatnot pull him away? And if that happens, because Milwaukee obviously is doing what Oklahoma City did, which is we can't trade him. We're all in. We just have to cross our fingers and hope.
Which, by the way, I think that's what they should do.
Of course. I mean, you're never going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo value in a
you
trade.
also, you saw with the Pelicans. I mean, who's to say they can't get something that he's worth. What you have to hope is that you've treated Giannis well enough that he has enough respect for you to at least say that he's going to leave and give you a year heads up.
Yeah, and in today's NBA, he can't do that, because if he does that, it becomes news.
Well, here's what's fascinating to me about Giannis. Giannis right now is the biggest Euro star in terms of he's the best Euro player. Doncic is maybe becoming a bigger star, but I still think Giannis is the single best player that's not an American. And one thing that I've always kind of, at least from afar, admired about Giannis, Neil, you don't hear a whole lot about Team Giannis. You hear a lot about the brothers.
Yeah.
But you hear about his camp, if you will.
No, everything about them is that he's a lot like his brothers. He just kind of likes being in the gym. Just likes to do his thing. When he first started out in Milwaukee, he lived in an apartment near the arena, and he would basically walk to work. Can't do that anymore. He's too big of a star, but
well, and so the thing that you propositioned is interesting to me. I don't think the glamour of LA is what, glamour of LA, glamour of New York City. Also, this is a guy that grew up in the Mediterranean. He's in Milwaukee. I don't know if you want to go from cold to cold, maybe. I don't think the glamour of the big market is what will motivate him. What I do find fascinating, though, is it going to be the idea of, I want to go play with Luka, or I want to put, whoever he thinks fits his game. I do think that's interesting.
Yeah, I do too. I'm fascinated to see what happens with their team in the playoffs.
Their simple rating system right now, they are better than the 73-win Warriors, and they are on par with, actually, the Warriors the next year were, according to simple rating system, they were a better team, but they did not win the 73 games.
All right, I'll ask you a football question while we got you, because people don't completely jump us. If you're the Cincinnati Bengals, all jokes aside, are you even thinking about Tua, or do you just go, nope, we're taking the Ohio kid that just won the Heisman, we're going to sell a bunch of shirts, we're going to hope for the best, we're going with Burrow? Or do you change when now there's very competent medical people saying that the Alabama medical people that day absolutely got an A++. Forget all the stuff about whatever. They absolutely made it where he is going to apparently fully recover from that injury and be good to go.
Am I answering this question as if you gave me a team to run, or am I answering this question as, what do you do if you're the Bengals?
What do you do if you're the Bengals?
I think you have to take Burrow, and here's why. If you take Burrow right now and it doesn't work, you don't lose your jobs. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's not viewed, if you, in the draft, if you take what is viewed as the decision, the consensus opinion, you don't really take the blame for it. If you go and you take Tua and it doesn't work, and Burrow is even, let's not even say Burrow becomes, a Hall of Famer or a Super Bowl caliber, Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. Let's just say he's just better than Tua. You don't recover.
Oh, I agree with that completely. I think it's like if you were the Pelicans last season, even if somebody inside that organization said, man, I love this John Morant, I love him. I mean, you had to take Zion. You had to, because if you didn't take Zion and then he ends up being the next LeBron, not only are you out of a job, you're out of a career. You're a laughingstock. You're a joke. And I kind of think, not that Burrow is Zion, but if you're the Bengals, here's this kid from Ohio. He just won the Heisman. I don't see what choice you have. All right.
Now, if I'm –
Now I was getting ready to ask. You're just running generic football team.
My biggest concern with Tua is it's not so much injury prone. My biggest concern with Tua is I think the reason why he gets injured is the way he plays quarterback. He holds on to the football and tries to make the huge play because I think he's the best downfield thrower that we've seen, honestly, in 10 years in college football in terms of just consistently accurate with his deep ball. I think his timing, his anticipation is unbelievable. I think he's a stud. I don't think it's coincidence that he gets hurt, though. And it's not like, oh, he's fragile. It's that he actually really is a pocket passer.
He's got to get in the
But
right. He's got to get with the right coach. He needs what, like Patrick Mahomes needed an Andy Reid. He needs the right guy to coach him who says, "Hey, we're going to coach this out of you. The live to play another day, live to play another play thing." And frankly, I think a competent NFL offensive coordinator / head coach is going to be able to work a lot of that out of him.
I'm showing him cut-ups of Elijah Nelson Manning. Look at my boy. See how he got down there? See how he just he felt that rush, knew he didn't have anything, he just went down.
All right.
I'm showing him that.
Another pro football question because I want to get your take on it. Do you have a couple minutes? You good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. It was interesting, and I can't think of the guy's name. The general manager of the Tennessee Titans was asked a couple of questions the other day at the Combine. He was asked about Derrick Henry, who is an unrestricted free agent, and he gave this glowing quote about him and he's everything and all that stuff. And then he was asked about Ryan Tannehill, who also can become an unrestricted free agent here in a couple of weeks or so. And the answer was, yeah, we're going to talk to him kind of like we talk to all of our guys. And it has, of course, created a lot of buzz that, hey, the Titans are more in on this Tom Brady thing than people think. If you had to predict today, where do you think Tom Brady plays next season?
I still think New England, John Robinson is the guy that you're talking about. And Robinson's quotes struck me not from the perspective of posturing for Brady, because in the end, here's Brady's decision. He's 43 years old, and New England to me is still, when you look at the rosters, New England's still the best fit. Do they need to go get him a couple of weapons? Sure, but Bill Belichick's aware of that too. So, and their offensive line took a huge, they lost two key pieces up front. Like, Brady wasn't good last year, but he wasn't that good the year before, and they won a Super Bowl. So, to me, New England is still the best fit. The thing that I thought was interesting about Tannehill, from Robinson's perspective, I don't know if y'all saw, but Ryan Tannehill, after the season ended, made a change at the agent position, and my boy went to CAA.
Statistically, last season and I can't remember the name of the stat, but it's basically when the ball leaves your hand, this pass, the way it was thrown, the choice that was made, should be caught, okay? He was number one in the NFL.
Yeah. And I think the best situation for all parties, I think Tannehill is probably the best that the Titans are going to do right now. And I think Tannehill should recognize that, Mariota is going to be gone. It's your team. They took a chance on you. Like, that's a good fit for him. You got Henry. You've got young receivers, good young receivers, and you got a pretty good offensive line. Now, they have some questions about, who all they can re-sign up front, but you can iron that out. I just think the big problem, I think Robinson's comments were more along the lines of, we do not want to say anything that puts us in a position to where Tannehill has all the cards.
And this is on a morning when Jeff Darlington of ESPN, he says on some television, Get Up ESPN this morning, quote, "I'm now at the point where I would be stunned if Tom Brady went back to New England."
Really?
Adam Schefter quote tweeted that, and then they talked about it. He said He said, he goes, RIP my mentions. I know you'll hate me. I know you'll tell me I'm an idiot, and I understand why it's so hard for all of us, myself included, to start accepting this likelihood. But there's still a chance, sure, but whatever. Reality is Brady is looking forward to free agency.
I think Tom Brady wants to be wanted.
Yeah, we all do.
I think
That's human, right?
It is, but I think he's done the thing where, like, I've played good soldier for you guys for so many years. I took this pay cut. I I think that's what it is, and I just really this is more of just where's he going to go that makes sense.
Well, I mean, Tennessee's close, so that would make sense. There have been rumblings about Tampa Bay, which makes no sense, but it was out there yesterday a lot. There was some New York media talking about Tom Brady to Tampa Bay. Las Vegas, the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, again, so far the best thing that you've mentioned is the Titans, but I still don't think that that's what Brady. I get it. Okay, run game, young receivers, whatnot, but that's Brady's a ball control quarterback, and he's ball control with the passing game. The Titans are a run first deep shot team.
Who is the if it's not Tom Brady, who is the Patriots quarterback next season?
Teddy Bridgewater?
Makes sense.
Sure.
Who's the Bears quarterback next year? Is it still Trubisky? Are they just going to just double down on this?
I think you play him this year and you hope it does one of two things. Either they figure out a way to get competitive again, or you hope that he bottoms out.
But if you're Nagy and the people that drafted this guy, if he bottoms out, you bottom out with him, right? I mean, you at some point you have to say, hey, we made a mistake.
This is the perfect example of what we were discussing with Burrow. Trubisky was not the consensus best quarterback in that draft. Now, it was a draft.
Deshaun Watson.
And yeah, but it was a draft where there was, but the guy that most people that had, the people that I read and respect on quarterback opinions, no one had him as their number one guy.
No, they either had Watson or Mahomes. They didn't have Trubisky. And Chicago brought both of those guys in and ultimately overthought the draft, which is so easy for people to do. And we're watching Cincinnati perhaps start to do it. It's so easy to overthink it and overthink it and overthink it and overthink it because you make a decision on today, February the 27th, and you got to wait 2 damn months. And in those 2 months, you have umpteen meetings, at which point someone floats an idea of something and it takes on a life of its own.
I think the one that's fascinating is what happens with Cam. Because there are other rumors out there that Carolina is trying to put together a package to get the number 1 pick and reunite the Joes, Brady and Burrow.
What's the if you're a team, who's rolling the dice today on Cam Newton? Who would have ever thought a few years ago we'd say they'd be rolling the dice?
I mean, it's been 10 years.
It's been
I don't know.
A minute.
The problem that I have with Cam right now is, forget last year. Last year was a wash from the beginning. Like, he was hurt clearly from day one. The year before, though, they started out 6-2, and if you looked at his numbers and you watched them play, he was still Cam Newton. He got banged up then, and now it's been this weird road to recovery. And so the question becomes, are these injuries things that, if given the time that he can still come back and play? Obviously not I do fall back on the Reggie Miller-ism. Once they cut on you, you're never the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying, like, okay, he's got to be peak Cam, but can he still be, an 8.5?
Yeah, and I think it's the fall's a little more than that, but I would not want him as my quarterback.
No,
put it that way.
I'd be terrified going into a season going, Cam Newton's my guy, week 1, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's what are my options? I would be fine if my options are Cam Newton or Cam Newton or let's say
Jameis Winston.
See, that's weird. How do we feel though? Jameis got LASIK.
That's what I mean. I mean, he's fallen to the point where you're like, I think I'd rather just roll with Winston another year. I'd rather roll with Trubisky another year. If you're a team,
But I still would rather take my shot on Cam
then both of those guys or one of those guys.
than Jameis. Who else were we throwing in the category? I'd rather take my
Trubisky.
chance on Cam. Yeah, than Mitch too.
Yeah. Interesting.
Who you got today on the show, Jeff?
This afternoon, let's see, it's Thursday, so that means we have Jason Smith. We'll be holding a prayer vigil for the Grizzlies' injuries, and we're looking forward to that.
All right. Have a good day, bud.
The Grizzlies are getting beat up at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's not the time for that, is it?
No Jaren Jackson Jr., but, hard to win in that league when you're a one-score threat.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com is the website. Go to the events page, see everything going on locally this week and every week. You also see where to stay, where to eat, what to do, and see, and more. Tonight's the third annual Oxford Date Night. It is at the Powerhouse, 7 to 8:30. It's for couples featuring comedian Ted Cunningham. Tickets include dinner and entertainment. $30 a couple for some easy entertainment tonight. If you are interested, that is brought to you by the local arts council and more. So again, visit oxfordms.com/events.
Rebel fans, renew your football season tickets by March 31st to secure your seats in the vault this season. Tickets start at just $199. Can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. Let's see. The women's hoops team back in the pavilion on Sunday as they host Mississippi State at 1:30. Tickets can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. Men's hoops team back in the pavilion on Saturday, the 29th at noon as they host the Vanderbilt Commodores. The first 1,000 fans will receive a free replica hoops jersey. Tickets remain and can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. The Ole Miss softball team is hosting the Ole Miss Classic beginning on Friday at 3:30 against Jackson State. Admissions free. For more information, visit OleMissSports.com. And then while you're there, you can check out the Ole Miss women's tennis team on Sunday, March the 1st, as they host the Kentucky Wildcats in an SEC showdown at 1 p.m. Admission is free, and it's at OleMissSports.com. Our friends at Blue Delta Jeans are excited to announce that beginning this week, pre-orders are being accepted for the return of duck canvas. Longtime Blue Delta Jeans clients will remember this durable, long-lasting fabric. It'll be back in stock by popular demand very soon in canyon brown, green, gray, and navy at 10.5 ounces. This Georgia milled fabric will provide you with the ultimate American-made pant that is nearly unbreakable. For more information or to place your orders today, go to BlueDeltaJeans.com or reach out to them on social media at Blue Delta Jeans. We are also brought to you by Southern Craft Stove and Tap. They've got your pregame and pre-concert needs covered, whether you're headed to Oxford for basketball, baseball, whatnot, or you're going to Tupelo for one of the many events at Bancorp South Arena. Make sure you get your event started off right with a visit to Southern Craft, conveniently located off Highway 7 and Sisk Avenue in Oxford and at 205 East Troy Street in Tupelo. Southern Craft has all your Southern favorites ready to serve your hunger needs. So drop in, enjoy a curated cocktail, one of their many craft beers on tap, and don't forget about their catering. From private events to catering in for your staff at work, Southern Craft has your catering needs covered with a meal everyone is sure to love. So make your day crafty at Southern Craft Stove and Tap.
Podcast is brought to you by Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy. G&M on South Lamar in Oxford. 662-236-2222 is the phone number. And flu season is still going, so stop by. Get a flu vaccine available with $0 copay on most insurance plans. Not to wait in line or anything. We'll get you out as quickly and painlessly as possible. Also available at Tyson Drugs on the Square in Holly Springs. They deliver local in the Oxford area to your home and workplace and much more. Again, 662-236-2222. Yeah, another little public service announcement for that baseball thing tomorrow. I did not realize this. The baseball game is at 11 a.m. Central tomorrow, so early, not late. I was not aware of that until just a second ago. So
Who do they play tomorrow?
they play High Point
High Point,
tomorrow
that's
at
right.
11 a.m. So
Indiana on Sunday.
that is correct. It is 11 a.m., 3:30 p.m., and then 10 a.m. So Eastern time zone where they're actually playing, but Central times 11 a.m. tomorrow, 3:30 on Saturday, 10 a.m. on Sunday. High Point, East Carolina, Indiana. Tyler Keenan headed home. He's from North Carolina. I think that's the only player from North Carolina team. Anyway, I don't know. No really storylines.
There's only so much you can say about Ole Miss High Point baseball.
I know nothing about High Point baseball at all. Literally nothing. Got nothing. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't have a former player that played for him. I got nothing. Not sure Cliff could have given me much had I asked for him for something yesterday.
He probably would have shot you through the screen.
Can we break down High Point?
Yeah.
It's Mike hates that question every time. Like we'll finish the series on Sunday, and whoever the Tuesday opponent is, I mean, even if it's Southern Miss or somebody will go, "Hey, Mike, just want to ask you, really, what do you know about blank and blank on Tuesday?" And he's like,
Yeah,
I haven't even nothing. I mean, he's
coaches
like,
don't think like that.
Yeah, he's like, really a great program, great team, really excited about the game.
A lot of respect for Coach whatever his name is.
Yeah. But it's like, hey, what do you know about him? He's like, nothing. And he'll admit it. He goes, nothing.
Yeah.
I haven't watched them at all.
You have people on your staff that do advanced stuff, but they don't bring it to you until.
And the players don't get it till day of.
Right.
I mean, it's right before when any player actually gets a piece of it. High Point is 5-4 overall this season. You know what conference they're in, Mr. McCready?
High Point. The Southern Conference.
They're in a conference with like Charleston Southern, Presbyterian. Campbell, I think, is in their conference.
Okay.
Not helping.
The Southern Valley Conference.
Well, you're close. Kind of close.
Ohio Valley?
The other word.
Southern.
Big South.
Big South.
Big South.
Big
Big South
South
is the conference for. They swept Lafayette in a 3-game series. They lost to North Carolina 14-0. That's not promising. And then
held them to 2 touchdowns. Though.
Towson beat them 2 out of 3, and then they beat North Carolina Central on Tuesday. Big win there for High Point. So they appear to be a bit of a sacrificial lamb there this weekend, but nonetheless, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'm losing my mind a little bit right now. It's High Point's mascot.
High Point's mascot?
Yeah,
I don't know. Laura just sent me Caroline's senior schedule.
Okay.
Man, I'm so
Does she have
glad
to
I'm
go to
not a
school at
kid
all?
now. Huh?
Does she have to go to school at all?
Yeah. We learned lessons from Campbell.
They're the Panthers, by the way.
She takes college algebra, college trig, college English, marine and aquatic science, and dual credit Spanish, where she'll take Spanish at Ole Miss as a high school senior. I took yearbook.
Well, you took government as a senior.
I'm trying to think what I took as a senior.
You probably took economics as a senior.
I took English. I took world history.
I'm fairly certain I didn't take a math my senior year. Pretty sure I didn't.
I don't think I did either.
I may have taken a science, and I just don't remember it.
I had one of my elective. I spent an hour each day, just me and Ms. Johnson, because I was president of the student body.
And that gave you an hour?
Gave me an hour every day.
To really get that campaign and
Well,
those policies
to
going.
do the work of a president.
Yeah.
Which frequently meant just sitting in there having a conversation.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, just talking.
It's different now.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's why people can graduate so quickly. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm right in this. I think Gunnar Hoagland is graduating this spring in 2 years.
Well, the college level has changed with athletes because
they're there 365
they train
days a year
year-round.
Yeah,
which means they go to summer
you
sessions.
may as well take some classes.
They go to intersessions. They take they don't ever really take a break, and what it does is it's created this deal where
I think I'm right here. Again, if an Ole Miss employee, if I'm wrong, correct me. I'm pretty sure not taking a fall or spring class, okay? Take the semesters out of it. You can take a Maymester class,
Yep.
You can take an August intercession class. You can take a June class, a July class.
You take 2 June classes.
Say 2 June, 2 July.
Yeah.
And probably a full internet.
Yeah. Oh, you can.
That's 7 classes in the summer.
Yeah. You
8
can knock
classes
21 hours
for
out.
December.
Yep.
That's 24 hours not taking a fall, which is technically full-time status for the year.
Yeah.
You could maintain full-time status for the year not taking a fall or spring class.
But if you take that other stuff, you're out in 3
cooking.
years. And if you're an athlete,
Gunner probably took some high school stuff at transfer, and here, all of a sudden you're.
So if you're an athlete, you can do one of 2 things. You can hit the transfer market and go someplace and play as truly a grad, or you can stay where you are.
Neil's predicting Gunnar Hoagland's transferring out at the end of the year and going to play
he's
somewhere
probably
else.
going into the MLB draft.
Well, he's got another year left.
Yeah, so
he's
I'm
only
saying,
a sophomore.
Right. So he'll graduate. Yeah, so he can take some graduate degree stuff and get part of the way to a grad degree.
Yeah. Frankly, we'll clear his schedule a little bit.
Yeah.
Take a couple classes, whatever it is to stay full time. I don't know.
But yeah, if you're a football or basketball, whatever player, makes sense if you can do it. What makes sense, frankly, if you're a football player, people are going to get mad, is take that red shirt and graduate in 3 years where you have the option of being a grad transfer with 2 to play.
I am changing the subject. Just saw this, though. We read these stats out the other day on the podcast, but it's going into the tweet I just saw. It's an SEC story. We mentioned that since January of 2019, Vanderbilt was 2-39 or whatever it was in football and men's basketball against the SEC. Saw another stat last night where.
I'll let you talk for a second. I'm going to check something.
Okay. Saw the other stat. I'm trying to find it right here because I had it just a second ago about Vanderbilt's incompetence in just basketball in general. Still looking for it. I may have been looking at the wrong place. Anyway, they lost essentially like 33 of their last 34 SEC games in men's basketball or something. And other than baseball, everything has been really, really, really bad for them. We've always talked about, obviously, the lack of whatever. I'm kind of waiting on Neil now because I need to read the tweet I just saw to him before we can discuss it. So we'll be back in a second with that while I'm waiting for it. So I guess the point was they were terrible in men's basketball. They've been terrible in men's basketball. They've been terrible in football too. Chris Lee, our colleague at Rebels.com, tweets out at 8:50 a.m. this morning, a source with direct knowledge of the situation tells me that former AD Malcolm Turner told Vanderbilt that to get its athletic facilities up to SEC standards, $800 million.
Wow.
Just to get to standards.
No way.
If you're that athletic program right now, I mean, basketball can be turned around because basketball can be turned around. I mean, you're in a way, your gym's kind of cool and whatever. Football's an abomination right now with no real sign to get out of it. I mean,
in that stadium.
That's my point.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I mean, even the stupid horn is annoying.
Yeah.
They don't score much, so it doesn't matter. But still, nonetheless, it's potentially as worse from an athletic department standpoint as it's ever been, which is amazing given the money and everything else. But it's what happens. You're getting $100 and whatever million. Well, everybody else is too.
Right.
The gap stays the same. You know what I mean? So they're doing nothing at all here to catch up, and frankly, they're getting more broke by the day, which is uncanny as it is.
Well, don't be surprised if that story out of Nashville ratchets up a little bit about what happened with the previous athletic director.
Oh, yeah.
I'll leave it at that, but so I don't want to get sued, but a lot of people are watching that story. You know what's weird is they've made so many bad decisions. There was a moment, and I can't remember when it was, Chase, maybe it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when it became obvious that Nashville was going to get a Major League Soccer franchise.
Real quick, just quick aside. The stat that I was trying to find, I've just now found it. Vanderbilt hoops overall is 30-62 over the last 3 seasons, including 7-46 in SEC play. and they've lost 33 of their last 34 conference games. Go ahead.
What I was going to say about the stadium is there was a moment where one of the things that was proposed was, hey, let's go in as a partner with the MLS and build a stadium that could be used for both Vanderbilt football and whatever the Nashville football soccer team is being called. I think it's Nashville FC or FC Nashville or whatever. Who cares? But Vanderbilt didn't want to do it. My understanding it was Vanderbilt that killed that. I'm surprised, frankly, that the league hasn't gone to Vanderbilt and said,
get with it.
This isn't working. Because when you're about to renegotiate, and the SEC is TV rights, if you're the people at Disney, ESPN, whatever, hey, we want all of our member institutions. We don't want Vanderbilt.
You get Nashville, but that's not doing anything for you from a watch standpoint.
They get Nashville for Tennessee. They don't need Nashville for Vanderbilt.
Well, and it's a lot like when the Big Ten screwed up and said, hey, if we go get Rutgers, that's going to give us that New York market. No, it's not.
And with Vanderbilt's going to be non-competitive in the two sports that matter for the television contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the two sports that matter for the television contract are football and men's basketball. If Vanderbilt's going to be non-competitive in those two sports, it's a problem.
$800 million, which means you're just dead in the water. That's what that means.
Yeah.
There's very little way out.
Well, unless someone comes up with just a monumental gift.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, in some ways, I know things change. In some ways, they're stuck with one another, but Vanderbilt needs to kind of get it together. I mean, hard to kick out a member institution that's charter member.
Yeah, and I don't think they want to do that. And,
no.
And
they're nowhere near that. I mean, other teams have sucked for numbers of years. That is not.
They have to be very frustrated right now.
It's more infrastructure than record to me. It's
Yeah.
that you're that far behind everybody else in functionality more than it is actually you winning or losing.
You look around the league.
That's cyclical.
You look around the league at the improvements that have been made to stadiums. The one in Starkville comes to mind. I mean, they've made it a very nice place to play.
Yeah.
It's very fan friendly. The one in Arkansas, which just 15 years ago was an absolute dump, is nice now. Tuscaloosa, when I was covering Alabama years ago, was not a particularly nice stadium, and Bryant Denny is now one of the standard bearers in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's around. You can go around the league and talk about improvements that have been made to stadiums and whatnot. And there's a few that are somewhat dilapidated, but they maintain those. Vanderbilt's just kind of let it go, and it frankly looks like a high school stadium sometimes.
Well, it does. Well, I mean, even in the sport they're trying to really promote right now, baseball, there's nothing they can do to make it look better or bigger. It's landlocked right there in that block.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is my point.
Yeah.
There was a path to a solution.
Yeah.
MLS stadiums are going to be about 40,000. They're not going to build bigger than that. That's all you needed at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
But you could have gotten a new one with amenities and such. I think the Nashville soccer team plays its first game this weekend.
Do they?
I think. My anticipation is they'll do really well. From a draw standpoint.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Probably very similar to what Atlanta did.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. I'm not doing the soccer hot take where it's going to become a major sport. I'm not saying that. I think it's going to do really well in cities like Nashville, and I think the Cincinnati is starting or just started a year ago or whatever. I think you're going to see big crowds at those games. It's very affordable. You can go to an MLS game for half the price of a Major League Baseball game.
This would be really good for fans, especially ones that try to buy things off secondary markets. It says, I'm reading this from yesterday. Said 3 of the country's biggest ticket sellers told a congressional committee Wednesday they would support a federal mandate to disclose an all-in ticket price, meaning ticketing fees would be revealed up front to fans instead of only after a fan has entered personal information, the current industry-wide standard.
Yeah.
Had a big thing in a committee about that yesterday.
I'd be for it.
Oh, all for it. I mean, yeah, that's common sense. Especially, in props to the ticket people here because they're the ones saying it. Hey, no, let's go ahead and be transparent.
It's very frustrating. You're on a ticket app, and you're like looking at tickets for whatever, and
here's the price.
Yeah, and then you find out only after that, when they show you the final price, oh, well, the final price is actually about $50 a ticket more than what we showed you.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Good deal there. I'm just kind of glancing at ESPN.com real quick as we were going through a couple different topics.
There's a post in the thread about MLS overtaking MLB. I don't know about that. I'll tell you this about MLB. They've got to figure out some of these blackout rules as it pertains to their rights.
They've needed to for years. And
you're turning young people off in droves.
Because the young people don't understand it. At least we know it. It just is what it is. And we're annoyed, right. But we grew up with it or we've known it. I mean, it's not like now we're like, whoa, I can watch anything I want at my fingertips. Why can I not watch that?
Well, like the Cubs launched their new channel, Marquee, which is on DirecTV, and you can't get it down here right now because, well, we have some issues because you're in the Reds market.
The Reds.
And you're in the Cardinals market, and you're in the Braves market.
The Reds are 7 hours away.
Cincinnati is. I mean, St. Louis is 5.5 hours away. Atlanta's 5.5 hours away. It's not like I live a hop, skip, and a jump from one of those stadiums.
Yeah, you're not in Buckhead. So
right. But here's MLB's problem. Let's say you were. But you'd move from Chicago, or you were a lifelong Cubs fan. If I'm Major League Baseball, I don't care who you cheer for. I just want you to cheer for somebody.
Yeah, of course.
I want your clicks. I want your money. I want your subscription fee.
Yeah, no, I know.
You want to pay for an app that, absolutely. To me, their stuff is archaic.
Take a quick break and tell you about Mastercut's Lawn and Landscape from lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but also custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paper patios, forestry mulching, and much more. Patch your dream backyards easier than you think with Mastercuts. It's online at gomastercuts.com for a free quote or the same free quote at 662-607-7773. Again, gomastercuts.com.
Podcast is also sponsored by Nest and Wild. Sleep better with the Nest and Wild mattress. Nest and Wild is a Mississippi-based mattress company making a high-quality mattress delivered right to your door. They make buying a new mattress easy. Every Nest and Wild mattress is 1 foot thick, giving you comfort and support that will last. A lot of online brands sell an 8-inch or 10-inch mattress with less support and durability. But from the twin size to the California King, every Nest and Wild mattress is 1 foot thick, 100% American made. And the pricing is fantastic, and it's even better when you throw in the podcast discount. It's a no-risk decision. Nest and Wild believes in their product so much that they're offering a 99-night trial on every mattress, so try it out. Sleep on it for 99 nights, and if you don't like it, you can return it. Go to nestandwild.com, order your mattress, use the podcast code REBEL20, and get 20% off your purchase. That mattress will arrive at your door in 3 to 5 days. Also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is also home to the Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services team. When you work with Pinnacle Trust 401k advisory services, you gain a valuable advisory team and time-saving resource that will help you develop and maintain a solid strategy for your retirement plan. They're committed to providing you with this personalized attention and involvement that you want and need. Their goal is to help you manage your 401k plan properly and ultimately improve your employees' retirement readiness. So call the 401k advisory services team today, and they'll conduct a complimentary, no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust, I should say, on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You'll get 10% off your first year's fees. It's pintrust.com, PINNtrust.com. We're also brought to you by the Westin Jackson. It's a Marriott property in downtown Jackson, home to Soul Spa, also home to Estelle Wine Bar and Bistro. If you are doing business in Jackson, that's the place to stay. If you need a weekend to just sort of recharge your batteries, that's a perfect place to make your headquarters. That's the Westin Jackson in downtown Jackson. And we're brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Whether you're thinking about a golf trip to Europe or you're thinking about a trip to the Caribbean, whatever the case may be, getting ready for the summer, let John make this a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. All you do is you get in touch with him, you give him some parameters, you give him a budget, he'll give you options, and you don't have to live anywhere near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@mgtravel.com. at regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
Mentioned Ole Miss at home noon on Saturday. Is that correct? Basketball.
Yes, noon on Saturday against Vanderbilt.
So Maryland came back and won that game last night. On the road at Minnesota last night, they were down 47-31 at the break and won 74-73 last night. Just kind of glancing at that. Could have gotten really good halftime odds. I actually, for some reason, saw something about the money lines at halftime.
Oh, really?
If you had a Maryland comeback. Very high-scoring game. It was an overtime game in Columbia, South Carolina last night. South Carolina wins 94-90 over Georgia. Georgia really just kind of blew it. But nonetheless, South Carolina now 9-6 in the SEC. Georgia 4-11 in the SEC. Arkansas wins a home game against Tennessee last night, just beating up the Vols. They were up 13 at the break.
It's almost like getting your best player back helps.
Oh, he was back last night?
Yeah, he's back twice now, and they're 2-0 with him back.
Yeah, dangest thing, isn't it?
They have a chance. They have no margin for error.
Mason Jones scored 37 last night.
Yeah, he had 37 because now people aren't focused on him. They're focused on Joe.
Yeah.
They can't lose again in the regular season, and if they don't lose again in the regular season, I actually think they're going to get in.
They have 3 more games.
Yeah.
3 more. Missouri, speaking of Vanderbilt, Missouri, because Ole Miss plays them at home too later in the year. 61-52, Missouri over Vanderbilt and Nashville last night. Yeah, there's nothing at all interesting from that game, but Missouri won by whatever. And then
you have standings up by any chance?
I'll give them a second.
I can pull them up.
Huge game, huge win for Mike White last night, beating LSU 81-66 in Gainesville last night.
Oh wow, that is a big win.
So Florida now 10-5 in the SEC, 18-10, and barring something crazy,
they're good.
In.
They're in.
They're in. So
I'm pulling up stats. I hadn't even looked at this.
What standings?
Well, I'm just curious. Yes, if Ole Miss even has a path out, they don't.
They're stuck now.
Yeah. Ole Miss has a path.
They're 2 back,
yeah.
But it requires Arkansas is the problem.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they can only catch Arkansas, and Arkansas would win the tiebreak.
They would have to literally win out and Arkansas lose out.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is not realistic because Ole Miss has to go to state.
Right. Yeah, Kentucky 13-2, Auburn 11-4. So even Kentucky has a 2-game lead in the overall standings.
It appears Ole Miss will play the early game on Wednesday against Georgia. Right now, Ole Miss would wear the home uniform. That would be the big advantage.
And then a thrilling game between Missouri and Vanderbilt again.
Yeah, Ole Miss could catch Missouri. They play Missouri here.
Ole Miss could in theory play Vanderbilt instead of Georgia, but that's really the only thing that's left to this point.
They can't catch Alabama, and if they did, they'd lose the tiebreak. They can't catch Tennessee, and if they did, they'd lose the tiebreak.
They can't catch them. There's 3 left.
There's 3 left, and they're 3 back, so they could tie them, but they would lose the tiebreak.
Yeah.
They could overtake Arkansas, but Arkansas would win the tiebreak. I'll see if I can find Arkansas' schedule. I'm a little curious at this point.
Arkansas's remaining schedule is at Georgia, LSU, at A&M.
Yeah, so they'll probably win at Georgia. They get LSU at home.
I see them winning either at Georgia or at A&M. They have LSU at home. That is correct.
Yeah, they'll probably win that because it's senior night.
Home teams typically win senior night.
Yeah, and then at A&M, they'll probably lose because it's A&M's senior night. So they will be – wow, I might end up getting one right on pure default.
What?
If Arkansas goes 8-10 in the league, what's their net today? It's probably around 38, 39. If they go 8-10 in the league and then make a little noise in Nashville, they will be absolutely bubbly. And I said an 8-10 SEC team would make the tournament.
You did not expect it to go this way.
I've got a chance to back into that deal.
It's a very back end.
In a way where I can go, yeah, see?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Their net today.
What is it, 38?
40.
40.
But it's up 5 in a week. That's bubbly as it is. They're 1 spot behind Alabama, too, who is in worse shape than they are.
Yeah. And they get
Florida's net's only 31.
They go to Georgia and get a win. That'll keep their net around where it is. What's LSU's net today? 24-ish?
33.
Ooh, LSU's starting to drop. but they'd get a win over LSU at home, which would get them into the 30s.
Here's the problem: you really
the
need
loss
to beat
to A&M because A&M's about 115-ish.
You got to beat A&M.
They can't lose again. They got to go 3-0. But if they go 3-0, they're in.
Ole Miss is 94, by the way, if anybody cares. 116 for A&M.
116.
Yeah, A&M's 116, and just last thing.
Georgia's probably 80-something.
That's what I'm looking for. 89.
Yeah.
89 for Georgia. So,
yeah, the good news for me is the Wednesday game's at 6:00, which means if Ole Miss wins it, I think they play in the early session on Thursday.
Oh, really?
I can get out of Nashville quick.
True. All right, probably fire away Friday tomorrow because, again, Ole Miss plays at 11, so news value-wise, there's no reason to really talk about much. So whatever you guys got that's not that.
Well, the lineup might come out in time where we could really break that down.
We could really break that down in that 45 minutes between it going up and people listening before the game. So as long as we hurry and make it in the first segment, we can figure out a way to do that. So appreciate everybody in the live stream. As always, we'll close the week with you tomorrow as well. Thanks to Jeffrey. We'll talk to you then.